and do it while we're doing this salt segment, which I found enjoyable because the salt segment is kind of about us. It's about Jacobin and people who, don't understand satire, even though they claim they're experts in satire. So let me go ahead and present this to you guys. So Jacobin's latest issue is out. If you're not subscribed to the magazine, you should be subscribed to the magazine because it's fantastic. So if you look at the cover art that was done, and if you also understand the content of Jacobin, both in the magazine and on the channel, you know that this is not meant to be serious. No one, I don't think anyone at Jacobin sees Joe Biden as some sort of savior. And it's poking fun. My interpretation of it is it's poking fun at the way, honestly, liberals see Joe Biden. They see him as the savior. And you look at the image, I think it's just so well done. You look at the image and it touches on so many political issues that have unfortunately dominated our lives, especially over the last year. And so it's just, again, fantastic. I want to give credit to the artist, and I apologize if I'm butchering her name, Masha Krasnova Shabeva. And if Cale wants to jump in.
Cale, the pronunciation Nazi, come in.
You think I can do this? I have the worst pronunciations on the show.
Okay, fair enough.
But she
I
did
feel
a great
less
job.
bad. She did do a great job. So I wanted to give her credit. Now, we understand. We all understand that this is meant to be satire. But one person who had a difficult time seeing it was Tim Pool. So let's hear what he had to say.
Because Jacobin is like socialist. Like they're DSA, there's like communism. They get their name from the French Revolution. And they've put a cover out. And it's Joe Biden as Jesus with the sun behind his head, literally imagery of Jesus. And there are people below him like looking up and cheering and worshiping him. And there's angels filming and interviewing him. What are these people thinking? But when you have a media ecosystem that is acting like Joe Biden is literally Jesus, then I don't see how we actually solve problems. Just to clarify my point, Joe Biden could do really horrible things and they don't care. But it's funny because they say the same thing about, Donald Trump. Yeah. This is people worshiping Jesus Biden who hasn't done anything. Nothing. What did he do?
He defeated the devil.
Reid up against the wall.
Yeah, he defeated the devil. There you go. The evil Trump.
Yeah.
First of all, Jacobin does not take its name from the French Revolution. It takes its name, at least as far as I understand, it's from the Black Jacobins from the Haitian Revolution, which some may say is an extension of the French Revolution, but that's a common misconception. And Bhaskar can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm correct.
I mean, a lot of the magazine is playing up, the French Revolution, but yes, the logo comes from the Black Jacobins. And that's shout out to Ramike, our lead designer. It's just kind of...
We're riding with Biden on Jacobin. Everyone knows that we're riding with Biden. We're on the choo-choo, the no malarkey express. Let's go, baby. We love him.
Just take a second. Like, that's the thing. I mean... Maybe it's difficult for me to see it because I work here and I know what the content is about. I know what the pieces criticize. But before you release a video with your strong statements, just maybe you don't have to read the articles. I know Tim Pool doesn't like to read, but he doesn't even have to read. Just go to the front page of Jacobin and read the headlines. You get a little taste of the framing, right? Just try to put in a little effort, a little bit of research before you, take this cover and discuss it in earnest. It's just embarrassing. He's so embarrassing.
One of Jacobin's most prolific writers, and I think just one of the best people. I read almost everything he writes is Branko Marcetic, and he way before it was clear that Biden was going to even win the Democratic primary, which I think no one really I mean, there was a time when it was conventional wisdom that he was not going to win it. I mean, maybe it wasn't going to be Bernie, but it wasn't going to be Biden either because he was really struggling. Branko put out a book called Yesterday's Man about Joe Biden. He wrote a whole friggin' book about Joe Biden and how bad he has always been, and how he's always been one of the worst Democrats, which is saying something.
Just a book, but it's probably the best researched book on Joe Biden. Like, just half that book is footnotes because it's like Branko spent months and months and months, digging through this guy's legacy. Like, it's an incredible book that people should read, especially now that he's president.
I mean, he owned us all. He owned everyone, Branko. He owned us all. He saw it coming. He wrote a whole friggin' book because he knew that it was going to be important to look at Biden critically.
It's funny because the book came out in February of 2020, and it was like, shit. I guess no one's gonna buy this book. I guess Biden's over, and a month later, completely different world, which I don't want to think about. But but I wanted to pull up the issue cover because
I'm Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer kneeling. That's me. Tag yourself. Tag yourself. Who are you? What's your favorite part? I think the Kente claw. Yeah.
I like the Fauci part. Just because, look,
funny.
I don't mean to demonize Fauci in any way, and I don't think that anything happened through malice or ill intent, but like for a guy that everyone keeps pointing to really emphasize and drive home the point that we need to listen to the science, follow the science. The messaging from Fauci in the beginning of the pandemic was at best unclear, at worst misleading, right? Like he was one of the people who was discouraging people from wearing masks. And I think that might have been intentional because there was a shortage of masks and they wanted to make sure that like regular consumers didn't like snatch them all up before healthcare workers can, get masks for the work they do. But at the same time, like, in the very, very beginning, like in January, he wasn't minimizing it, but he did make it seem as though coronavirus was similar to Ebola in that, like, it's unlikely to, hit our shores. It's unlikely to have a devastating impact on America. And obviously it's had a devastating impact on America. Look, my point is, like, it's pretty clear. It's clear to anyone who knows anything. Like, just if you're in media, especially, you look at this and you can tell it's satire because it points to so many failures that we've experienced throughout 2020, especially, and when it comes to lawmakers that are featured on it, the lawmakers think like all of our problems are wrapped up in this neat little Trump package. And all we need to do is kick that package out the door and bring in another one of us and we're going to be fine. Like, we all know that's a ridiculous argument. We all know that Trump was not the problem itself. Trump was a symptom of the problem. And I'm making serious comments about a story involving Tim Pool being.
Well, that's the thing. Like so Anthony Fauci, I'm sure, is like just a fine civil servant, whatever. He's, but the sort of left critique of that is that the liberals kind of turn him into this like
a savior
celebrity guy who, like, I just want Anthony Fauci to tie me up in rope and hang me upside down and pound away at me, and it's like, what? He's just like a, he's just like a doctor guy. I don't know. Like, he's just some guy. He's just some civil servant who should be doing his job, and we should be kind of, I don't know. Like, it's just like the need for a certain kind of liberal to ascribe certain celebrity characteristics to our political leaders is just something that's just very strange and very bizarre, especially because they haven't. They haven't done anything to earn it.
Well, he became a part of like this reality show narrative that politics has turned into, right? Trump is the evildoer, and it looks like he's directing his ire toward this important, public servant, Anthony Fauci, who's trying to keep us safe. And so it turned into actually a lot of what we're seeing in politics, right? And a lot of what we're seeing in, independent media these days as well. And I guess corporate media, just like this effort to turn politics into either a blood sport or into some sort of entertaining reality show. But at the heart of it are people who desperately need real solutions because they're suffering, right? So, yeah, it's just Anthony Fauci he's doing a fine job, but to put him on a pedestal or put anyone in government on a pedestal as like the one person who's going to like save us and get us out of this disastrous situation we're experiencing with the pandemic is ridiculous. And that's what the commentary in response to Fauci has been like since the beginning of the pandemic.
Right. Well, and the other thing is that everything on the cover is like, it's showing off how, it's some critique of them, right? Where it's like Cuomo putting COVID vials in the trash.
In the trash.
Or like, or like these like
white libs,
perfect
white fragility. That's like a Where's Waldo.
Yeah,
you should have put girl boss on Waldo in there somewhere. Yeah,
yeah. It's the PMC reading white fragility,
while singing Kumbaya, presumably, or something like that's like a. Is that what that is? Yeah. What else we got there? What else do we got?
Yeah, of Schumer and Pelosi taking a knee, the baby blue drones overhead, the tweets,
the Twitter,
folks, the tweets.
Twitter birds, yeah.
So, I mean, this is shameless.
It reminds me of Inauguration Day, to be honest. Inauguration Day was. I had CNN on in the background all day, like as I was working, just to see if like something worthwhile was going to come up that maybe we'd want to cover on TYT. And it was embarrassing. It was just relax, guys. Everyone relax.
The coverage, the coverage was super embarrassing and very kind of I don't know, there were people on CNN who were like, this is the greatest moment in the history of American democracy.
He's not exaggerating.
Maybe in the history of mankind. This is the greatest moment in the history of mankind. And I'm like, this is a pretty grim spectacle on a lot of levels. I mean, there's just no crowd there. They're surrounded by 20,000 National Guard troops, hundreds of whom have just tested positive for COVID as a result. And like in the backdrop of like hundreds of thousands of Americans dying, this is not this is like a very grim spectacle with like a very saccharine kind of layer on top of it, just like this, and to see all these media people react in such a hyperbolic way, it just like was totally, it was like an out of body, I don't know, like it was just very mentally difficult for me.
And it's especially interesting coming from corporate media types, like hosts on CNN who have incredibly, lucrative jobs, some of them make millions a year in their contracts. Like for them to have that hyperbolic reaction as if the Trump presidency impacted them in the way that it impacted like an average American is what really stands out to me. Right. So, and by the way, again, Trump made them uncomfortable. I think like Trump, made them fearful of Go ahead.
No, he did like offend something in them, but he was also like the greatest thing that's ever happened to them. Like CNN has made more money in the Trump era than they ever have in the history of their company. It's been, and these hosts, these like incredibly banal people like Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo, like my God, like were able to turn themselves into these like brave defenders of some, the hordes coming through the gate, and they're just, and so they, in a way, like the Trump era is the best thing that's ever happened to them because they could do this pose that is just completely fake. I mean, it's just so obviously fake, but tons of people ate it up. And they themselves, I think, ate it up. I mean, they bought their own narrative as these kind of like very brave people doing something that's like, it was the cushiest thing you could ever imagine. Like it's the cushiest job. It's not even like within journalism, like it's the least scary thing you could do is like be like, you know what, sir? Daniel Dale going, it was just a tsunami of lies, like thousands of lies. I counted 47 lies per second. It just drives me crazy because it's the bare the easiest and cushiest job. I'm not saying what I do is brave. I don't claim it.
I've said that what you do is brave, Nando, for what it's worth. I think you're pretty brave coming on this show every week. I mean, there's like severe cognitive dissonance, so there must be, where like these people are making so much money off of something that they find so like the antithesis of what they think politics is, where like Trump totally smashed the decorum of it, like smashed like the actual like glitz and glam that they love to cover, like, and it just became extremely vulgar, and they're like, this is not what politics is supposed to be about. Like
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
One of the most embarrassing things,
ton of money.
One of the most embarrassing things I've ever done is when I attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I think convinced that was like the greatest. I was like looking around the room, and I remember thinking like, this is the greatest day of their lives. Like these people, like they love this shit. They love Obama going up there, telling the jokes, Conan O'Brien going up there, telling the jokes. And then they get to hang out. Like they're at the table. It's like, ooh, I'm, Jim Acosta at CNN, but I'm sitting at a table with, some celebrity, Tom Cruise. Oh, that's so cool. And Tom Cruise is like, oh my God, I'm with Jim Acosta, the CNN guy, the guy who like, he does all this stuff on CNN. And it's like, I remember being there, like, and just thinking like, this is the great, and Trump blew that up. And, like that, he blew that up, like that. They didn't do it during the Trump.
Yeah. Didn't they skip it one year? Or maybe
they skipped it, and they did like a side one, or like they blew up it stopped the thing that it had become.
You're right. So and they love the pomp and circumstance, right? They love that. And like and that was one other thing I noticed about Biden's inauguration. It was the return of the celebrity culture, the marriage of Lady Gaga types with the executive branch. It was just, I don't care.
Think of the celebs.
And we're going to get more of that.
That's
the frustrating thing. We're going to get more of these like annoying celebrity endorsed events and, campaigns. And these people are not reflective or representative of what people experience in this country every day, right? Like just putting a happy, kind of entertaining, I don't even find these people entertaining, but I guess to some people, entertaining face on a government that has neglected its people and continues to fail them because they would rather, appeal to their donors or their own personal interests rather than actually represent the best interests of the people. Like that's a huge problem. There's no amount of Lady Gaga or I don't know. Let me try to think of a singer that I actually like. Like, I can think of one right now. Like, there's nothing that's going to erase what the reality of this country is right now. And I'm worried that the Biden administration is going to fall into that like super annoying Obama era entertainment culture.
You didn't think it was cool when Garth Brooks gave former President Obama like a really cool bro hug?
But that's the thing. Yeah. Like, they haven't even updated the entertainers.
I was laughing. Well, I was laughing throughout the Garth Brooks thing because, first of all, it was just like such a throwback. I had forgotten like he existed. He was so big in the '90s. Like it's hard to overstate like how big he was. But I just like imagined myself like all these like like all these like conservative people who were like fans of Garth Brooks. Like, well, I guess he's a pedophile now. Like scratch him off the like scratch him off the list. Guess he's part of the cabal.